Go ahead, Natalie.
All right. Well, welcome to the open session of the CBLS March meeting. Adrian, if you could please take roll.
Of course. Acosta,
Here.
Alano,
Here.
Hammerschmidt, Lee, Vance,
Here.
Yoon,
Here.
thank you.
All right, just a
There is enough
reminder.
members, and we have quorum, so
Okay, great. Thank you. Just a reminder to everyone that this Zoom meeting, just like an in-person meeting, is being recorded. Will be archived in the State Bar's website. The CBLS is going to take the items on the agenda in the order that they appear on the agenda. So please have the agenda handy. And we'll be voting for any items by roll call, which Adrian will do. Again, welcome and thank you for attending. It's now time for public comment. If there are any members of the public who are interested in making a public comment, there are some rules that apply to doing so. The Board of Trustees recently adopted a public comment policy that applies to all State Bar committees, including this one. The policy statement says the State Bar welcomes public comment at all of its public meetings and appreciates listening to a wide range of viewpoints that reflect the diversity of California. These public comment rules are designed to ensure that members of the public may exercise their right to be heard, as well as ensure that the State Bar is able to fulfill its obligation to conduct public business on behalf of the people of California in a timely fashion. Written public comment may be submitted to the email addresses on the meeting agenda, and we encourage all of you to submit written public comments at least 24 hours prior to the start of a meeting. Written comments received less than 24 hours prior to the meeting will be distributed the following business day. For oral public comments, persons are encouraged to sign up to speak in advance of the meeting and will be called in the order they have signed up. Persons attending the meeting remotely will be called in the order that they appear in the attendee list. And in a moment, I'll explain how to raise your hand to tell us that you want to do that. Speakers cannot cede their time to another speaker. It does not guarantee that all who wish to speak will be able to do so to facilitate hearing from as many members as possible. And we encourage you not to repeat points that were made by other speakers. Simply say that you agree with them to allow the committee the time needed to deliberate on the important topics that we'll be discussing today. We'll be limiting public comments to 3 minutes per person. And as a reminder, the State Bar's anti-discrimination and anti-harassment policy says that the State Bar maintains zero tolerance for unlawful harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. Employees must at all times treat all other employees, job applicants, and persons providing services to the State Bar with respect and dignity in accordance with this policy. Likewise, the State Bar will not tolerate harassment, discrimination, or retaliation against its employees, job applicants, or members of the public by any employees or any person with whom the State Bar has a business, service, or professional relationship. If you are in Zoom and want to speak, you'll need to raise your hand unless you're already on the pre-meeting sign-up list. To do so, please click on the hand icon that's at the bottom center of your Zoom window. If you're participating by telephone, you may virtually raise your hand by pressing *9. That's the stars key followed by the number 9. Our coordinator will call members of the public starting with the pre-sign-ups, then the Zoom list in the order they raised their hands or signed up, and staff will enable the microphones of the speaker, start the timer, and then call out when 30 seconds remain. Do we have anyone that wishes to make comments today? All right, raise your hand or forever hold your peace.
I did not see anyone pre-signed up. We have one member of the public in attendance, but I do not see any hands raised.
Okay. All right. We don't have any planned guests today. We're going to give a brief update on the 2023 CBLS work plan initiatives. if you'll recall, at the conclusion of our last meeting, staff reviewed our discussion and comments related to the 2022 work plan and incorporated those notes to draft a 2023 work plan. Jeff and I have reviewed this draft with staff, and we believe it's ready for transmittal to the Board of Trustees for final approval. It's incorporated our notes and comments from the prior meeting. I'll request that staff provide a copy to the CBLS once it's approved by the Board of Trustees, but it looks like we should be good to move forward for the 2023 work plan. All right, and then moving forward with approval of the December 16th, 2022 meeting minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review those minutes? And assuming so, I would ask for a motion to vote to approve the meeting minutes from the December 16th, 2022 CBLS meeting.
So moved.
Okay. Mr. Hammerschmidt, who's now present, has moved to approve the December 16th, 2022 California Board of Legal Specialization public meeting minutes. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, Ms. Delano has seconded the motion to approve the December 16th, 2022 public meeting minutes. Adrian, can you take roll?
Of course. Acosta,
I will abstain as I was not present.
Alano,
Yes, I approve.
Hammerschmidt,
Yes.
Vance,
Approved.
and you.
Approved, yes.
Right, that is enough votes. The minutes are approved.
Okay, so the minutes have been, for the December 16th, 2022 public meeting minutes have been approved. And now we will move to the third agenda item, which is staff reports. We're going to start with a report on the key statistical indicators for the legal specialization program. Adrian, if you could take it from here.
Of course. So this is the key statistical indicators. This is a standing item where we would like to provide program metrics to give an idea of overall program health. We would also like to specifically identify areas where we experience a 20% change, whether that's an increase or a decrease where applicable when compared to the last year. So for this first slide, we'll be looking at the total number of specialists as of March 1st of this year compared to March 1st of the previous year. So that's 2022. Any changes, positive or negative, they all are under the 20% threshold. I would just note that it is a total decrease of 141 specialists over the previous year, which is just a 2.9% decrease. Family law and franchise and distribution law, they saw no change. All other areas saw decreases, with 4 of those areas specifically seeing a decrease of 10 or more specialists. Once again, it's under the 20% threshold, but work comp saw a decrease of 44. Criminal law saw a decrease of 31. Bankruptcy and taxation law, they each saw 15. And then legal malpractice law saw a decrease of 10. The next slide, looking at applications received. So for initial certification applications, that's the top table. At each point from the current year or for December 2022 by month and year-to-date totals when compared to the previous years, we see at least an 88% increase across all of those points. For the research applications, the lower table, at each point by month compared, looking at the current year compared to the specific month in the prior year, all saw increases below the 20% threshold. When comparing the year-to-date totals, all changes plus or minus were below the 20% threshold. And then December was actually the only year-to-date where there was a decrease. Next slide is for applications approved. So for the top table, initial certification applications, we see an overall decrease of 31% in applications across all December data points. And then January and February saw increases across all those data points. When looking at the research applications, the bottom table, when comparing data points from the current year to the year prior. All changes, plus or minus, they are above the 20% threshold. December by month saw an increase, but a decrease in the year-to-date totals. January by month and year-to-date saw decreases, and then February by month and year-to-date saw increases. The last thing that we're looking at are resignations. We did see a record number of resignations processed from December 2022 to January of this year. So there were a lot of resignations. I can't say specifically why, but for looking at just this year, we did see 92 resignations processed in 2023 so far. Within that, 53 specifically said it was related to retirement, which is about 58% of that. 19 said it was related to a practice change, which was 21% of that. And then all other reasons called out were below the 20% threshold. Some indicated it was in regards to their LSCLE, there was 3%. 8% said it was related to task and experience. 10% said it was related to fees. And then 11% said it was some other reason or some other miscellaneous reason. Anyone have any questions on any of those at all? All right, hearing none. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Adrian. All right, moving on to item B, we're going to have a discussion on recent developments related to the discussion of proposed changes to the exam results rules and policies.
Do we want to give just a couple of
Okay.
Office of Admissions updates
Oh,
first?
sorry, yes, I'm on the wrong spot here.
That's okay.
Audrey and Adrian are going to discuss some recent developments with the bar exam. So if you can please move forward with that, thank you.
Well, the Office of Admissions recently completed the February bar exam. Actually, I think all of the staff here on the call were out working at exam sites. And it was a relatively smooth administration, which we're always, knock on wood, very grateful for. We had 4,638 applicants approved to take the February exam across 10 test centers in California. And like every exam, there's a certain number of no-shows, but that was who was approved to sit the exam that day. Obviously now the grading team has been taking over, grading and calibrating those answers from the February exam. On March 1st, so right on the heels of the February exam finishing, the July bar exam opened. And we already have 4,164 submitted exam applications. Actually, just overnight on March 1st, we got over 3,000 applications right away. So those 3Ls are always very keen to start signing up for the July bar exam. We also opened the first year law students exam on March 1st, but that has a much smaller applicant pool, largely those attending the unregistered law schools. So it's always, it has been lately below 300 applicants. So that is the exam update. And I think I'm turning it back over to Adrian.
Sure, of course. So another couple quick recent developments. An update on the legal specialist exam test and accommodation rules review. The admissions test and accommodation rules, they are currently under review and being updated. Staff within the legal specialization unit, we will continue to work with the test and accommodations unit in monitoring those updates and hope to draft legal specialist exam test and accommodation proposal once those admissions rules have been finalized and updated. As a result of those pending changes, item 4D from today's agenda, the review and discussion of proposed changes to the legal specialist exam TA rules and policies, has been withdrawn today. So it will be continued to a future meeting. And then one other quick update, or perhaps to provide some clarification on rules update timing just generally. Any rule update discussions today, they will be finalized by staff to bring back to the CBLS at its April meeting for action. From there, we will, or excuse me, the CBLS will request the BOT to circulate any proposed rule updates for public comment at their May meeting. The Board of Trustees can then take action, if any, at their November meeting. As a result, any potential rule updates discussed here will not be implemented until the 2025 exam. However, we may be able to create or approve policies as needed to put in place for this year's exam if the CBLS feels that they wanted to implement anything immediately. And those were my 2 updates. Anyone have any questions?
Thank you, Adrian.
Of course.
All right, moving on to item 4, businesses. We're going to be talking about the review and discussion of proposed changes to the legal specialist exam refund rules and policies. And I believe Latrell is going to present some information for us.
Yes, thank you, Natalie. Good morning, everyone. So at the December 2022 CBLS meeting, staff proposed continuing the refund policy used during the 2021 administration of the LSX for the 2023 administration of the LSX, and recommended formalizing that policy in the legal specialization rules to be used for all future exam administrations. Attachment A provides a table reflecting this research and is open for discussion and further edits as needed. Staff can finalize the proposed updates after today's meeting, and this will be brought back to the CBLS at its April meeting for recommendation to approve to transmit to the Board of Trustees and circulate for public comment. Refund ineligibility. The proposed new content for Rule 3.116 examination is to add to the LS rule the definition or clarification. CBE Rule 4.61 provides regarding applications that are ineligible for refunds, which states, registrations are deemed abandoned and ineligible for a refund of fees if A, they are incomplete or unsigned by the final examination application filing deadline, B, the applicant has not provided additional information requested by the final application filing deadline, or C, eligibility cannot be determined by the final application filing deadline. Does the CBLS have any comments, questions, or suggestions? Continuing on, refund of fees policy. The rules may not be updated in time for the administration of the 2023 examination, but the CBLS has the ability to approve a refund policy to apply for the 2023 exam and afterwards. Referring to the tables on page 3 through 9 of attachment A, you'll see that we currently don't have a general LSX refund policy. We recommend creating this new policy to be posted later to its own dedicated page. We can use the current bar exam and first-year law exam refund policy as a template, and we have modified it to remove the references to the CBX first-year law exam or MC, so that it now references to the legal specialization exam. We have also removed ineligibility due to lack of pre-legal education, since applicants are required to attend a minimum of 45 hours in LSCLE in their specialty area. This item can be brought back in the next CBLS meeting in April 2023. In the meantime, does the CBLS currently have any comments, questions, or suggestions? Continuing on, withdrawal dates. For informational purposes, and while waiting for a general refund policy or rules update to be finalized and approved, staff will be updating the main LSX informational page with refund information and dates when registration opens for 2023, so applicants can have that information available. If you look at tables pages 2 through 3 on attachment A, you'll see the dates, which will be request to withdraw from the October 2023 legal specialist examination must be received by the State Bar's Legal Specialization Unit, Office of Admissions, on or before the dates listed below in order to qualify for a refund. August 2nd through 31, withdrawal with 60% refund. September 1 through 15, withdrawal with 30% refund. September 16th through October 11, withdrawal with no refund. and October 11, final deadline to withdraw from the exam. This concludes the agenda item on LSX updates regarding fees and refunds.
So I did have a question about this last section, we're having a final deadline to withdraw from the exam that's about 11 days before the examination date. And so, you know, understanding that there would be no refund after September 16th, there may be issues that come up where someone has to withdraw from the examination because of an emergency or something that comes up in the days before the examination. And obviously they wouldn't receive a refund, but what would happen if they were unable to take the exam or don't take the exam but haven't formally withdrawn?
So
There would be no, oh, sorry, go ahead, Amy.
no, you can't. Sorry.
I was gonna say there's not gonna be any I guess negative impact or on the applicant, other than them not being able to get the refund. If they don't let us know ahead of time, we'll be able to catch it later. But when we're taking I guess attendance or head count at the exam site or however we're taking it, they would just be noted as absent if we didn't already know that they were withdrawn.
Okay,
But once again, there's no negative impact. If or when if they reapply to take the exam, previous withdrawals or absent attendance would have no impact on those subsequent applications.
I also want to highlight, Natalie, because I thought this was part of your question as well. That is, what happens in the event that you know, somebody has like an emergency that does not allow them to come to the exam, for example, a medical emergency or the like, and the policy has some language to reflect that too. The proposed policy.
all right, great.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to the review and discussion of the proposed changes to the legal specialist exam results, rules, and policies. And I would like to kick it over to Janice.
Thank you, Natalie. Good morning. So we are looking to propose a rules for the legal specialization exams rules for results, and we have policy updates as well. We like to propose exam results be valid for a period of 5 years from the exam date. And there are 2 legal specialization rules we found that reference the results validity period. On our rule 3.110, that's the certification requirements, and that will be found on pages 1 and 2 of attachments A. With the proposal to extend exam results being valid for 5 years from the exam date, this rule implies that results become invalid after 3 years, since it states they have that amount of time to apply for initial certification. And as the original source reads, rules provides that applicants have 3 years total to apply for initial certification. Specifically, it states 18 months is the initial deadline, and they may have a request an extension of an additional 18 months. And this implies that after 3 years, they will have to retake the exam. We did look at a similar reference source, admissions rule 4.17. This is for certification and time limit. That rule states that results of the general bar exam are valid for a period of 5 years to fulfill any and all requirements. And after those 5 years, all admissions certification requirements must be met. So with those 2 rules, our proposed new rule, we'd like it to read, an applicant must submit the application within 5 years from the last day of administration of the legal specialist examination, if the applicant passes. If an applicant fails to apply for initial certification before the 5-year period, 1, the results become invalid, and 2, they will have to successfully pass the exam again before they can apply. The state bar may extend this 5-year limit for good cause shown by clear and convincing evidence in a particular case, but not for an applicant's negligence or the result of an applicant having received discipline affecting their state bar status. And we also looked at the examination results. This is from our legal specialist rule 3.116. It's found at the bottom table on page 2 on the attachment A. So with the proposal to extend exam results to be valid from 5 years from the exam date, we're looking to update our exam results rule to include it there. It currently does not state a time frame, and we also believe it may be able to provide clarification and specifically state that successful applicants are not entitled to see their scores. Unsuccessful applicants have and will be able to continue to receive their scores. The original source we found was our current legal specialization exam rule 3.116, and that currently states that results are final and applicants are not entitled to receive their examination answers or see their scores. And for the new content, we're proposing that it reads: results, 1, are reported to applicants. They are final and valid for 5 years from the date of the exam. Applicants are not entitled to receive their examination scores. Successful applicants are not examination answers, I'm sorry. Successful applicants are not entitled to see their scores. And upon approval of the new area of legal specialization by the Board of Trustees, the State Bar may approve for a period of no more than 2 years satisfactory completion of one or more alternative tasks in lieu of a written exam. Any questions on that exam results rule?
If
Okay.
okay, I just want to edit. Oh, did I interrupt something?
No.
Okay. I wanted to edit this based on what you had said. They must. Let me try to change this. They can repass the exam. Wait, what did you say? You said
For this proposed new content on the examination results, or the first one about the requirements rules?
it was 3.110.
A 3.110, they will, would you like me to reread it?
No, you said something different than what was on the attachment.
The State Bar may extend this 5-year limit for good cause, shown by clear and convincing evidence. That part.
Period 1. Okay, here. Invalid. 2. Members of CBLS, does anyone have any other thoughts or comments on these changes?
Yeah, up at the top where you made the change,
Mhm.
if an applicant fails to apply for initial certification before the 5-year period, they
sorry.
must. So I think that you just have to take that out.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And I mean, I think this is better than what was already there. I hope other members agree. Any other comments, thoughts on this?
Okay. Going further, we have other updates. So in addition to updating the rules, there are 3 other areas we found that can be updated to reflect the proposed 5-year period. And these are provided more informationally, and they may change through time. Pending an approved update to the legal specialist exam results rules, staff will be able to update these areas generally using the new rules as guidance. So we're looking to update the legal specialization webpage. It currently states becoming a certified specialist. And for those changes, you can see that on page 2 and 3 of attachment A. So with the proposal to extend exam results to be valid for 5 years from the exam date, We're looking to update the website to also notate that change and notify applicants that results will be posted on the admissions applicant portal. Our current webpage, it just lists exam results are valid for 3 years. And in previous years, the legal specialist exam results, they were sent by email to the email address identified on the admissions applicant portal, not necessarily posted on the portal. So we did look at the first year law students exams webpage that references it doesn't state a time frame, it's just a time period, it's just a general time frame or month that states when results will be released. And again, they don't provide specific dates. So our proposed new content, we're looking to have it state that exam results are valid for up to 5 years after the exam. Exam results of applicants who completed the legal specialist exam will be posted to the applicant portal approximately 5 months after the exam. Results from the October administration of the legal specialist exam are released in mid-March following the exam. So as you see, this is not stating exactly when, it's just giving a more general time frame. Any questions? Okay, so we're also looking to update the legal specialist application on the declaration page. So on page 3 and 4 of attachment A, you can see, like above, we're looking to update the declarations page on the certification application to reflect the change of 5 years for exam results. We did look at our current application. It currently states that an applicant understands that their applicant is due within 3 years. And again, we're just proposing that that declaration state that all certification requirements must be fulfilled and a certification application must be submitted. And we're wanting to state 5 years after the exam date, so that this is an example of what an application will look like if it was for this year. So we do state October 24th, 2028, which would be 5 years after the exam date. Any questions on the application declaration page? Okay. So we're also looking to update the post-application cover and instructions page. This is found on page 4 of attachment A. And similarly, like above, we're looking to update the cover pages on each specialty area application for the initial certification to reflect the change. And our current source is our current applications. It says currently that applications who successfully pass the legal specialist exam, they must submit this application by April 24th and the year after the results were released. An extension may be granted for 3 years after the results were released. For example, if passing the 2019 exam, results are released in 2020, so the maximum extension date is January 2023. That summarizes our 3-year period date. So our proposed new content, we're wanting it to specifically state that exam results are valid for 5 years from the date of the exam. Applicants who have successfully passed the legal specialist exam, they must submit this application within 5 years of the date of their exam. For example, if you pass the exam in October 2026 and 2021, the application will be due on October 26, 2026. And applicants who fail to apply within the 5-year period, they must again take and repass the exam in order to be eligible to apply for initial certification. Any questions?
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Denise. It's very helpful. And now we'll be moving on to item C, which is review and discussion of proposed changes to the legal specialist exam violation rules and policies. And Adrian's going to present on this topic.
Sure, of course. Just some quick background. At the December 2022 CBLS meeting, CBLS directed staff to do further research and state bar rules to see if the legal specialization rules should be updated to formalize or codify legal special exam violation rules. Attachment A provides a table reflecting our research and is open for discussion and further edits as needed. As mentioned before, we'll be able to finalize proposed updates after today's meeting. This will be brought back to the CBLS at its April meeting for recommendation to approve to transmit to the Board of Trustees and circulate for public comment. As with the previous two items, we look for legal specialists, specific exam rules, any similar state bar rules or policies that we were able to reference and our initial proposal to the legal specialization rules. So within the legal specialization rules, we do have Rule 3.116 examinations, but right now there's nothing specific to violations within that rule. So what we did look at are some admissions rules, specifically admissions rule 4.70, conduct required at examinations, admissions rule 4.71, reports of conduct violations, admissions rule 4.72, request for an administrative hearing on conduct violation, and rule 4.73, procedure for an administrative hearing on conduct violation. We looked at these rules specifically because in past exams, we did use these as guidance in our process for processing exam violations. But once again, we are just looking to formalize that and codify that in the legal specialization rule specifically. So with the proposed rule changes, we wanted to change the references from committee to the CBLS, but actually within the rules, the CBLS is referred to as board. So we changed any references from committee to board as being the hearing body or the review body. And then also possibly I wanted to get the CBLS's thoughts on updating maybe some of the terms even further. If we're looking at section A1, applicants are expected to conduct themselves professionally at all times at an examination test center. With the ability to now have remote exams, I think we should call out that applicants are expected to conduct themselves professionally even at home. I have a possible suggestion for wording, but of course, I may not be right. So if anyone has any other suggestions, please feel free to let me know. But I wanted to put in maybe
We were going to make a modification about the remote.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Oops. Oh, let me turn on track change again. Sorry. I don't know if we want to say remotely at home. Maybe if someone's taking it from a library, I don't know.
I think
Anyone-
remotely is it probably covers it. Adrian.
Any CBS members' thoughts are on changing that at all? Any other suggestions on the wording?
Remote, I think remotely is good, or remote location, depends. I mean, I think home would be too narrow, but remotely or remote location, I think would be okay.
Anyone have a preference on remotely or remote location? If not, I'll leave it remotely. All right, and then this A1 continues. So maybe even when they're identifying specific violations, where am I at? Unacceptable conduct may include, but is not limited to, having unauthorized items, writing or typing after time has been called, looking at other applicants' answers, talking when silence is required, or other abusive behavior. I'm not sure, maybe writing or typing after time is called. Like maybe even for the multiple choice, maybe they're filling in bubbles or something. Maybe we can say continuing after time is called. I don't know. Does anyone? Whoops.
Maybe continuing to mark the exam.
Or continuing with the exam, maybe, because marking might be too specific.
Yeah,
to
that
it.
works.
Any other thoughts, comments from any other members? Nope. All right, and then
What
in the
about-
past, oh,
What
sorry, go
about
ahead.
what about maybe saying continuing to complete the exam? Or continuing to take the exam?
Continuing to complete. I'm fine with either. Does anyone have, are members okay with that, or
I like continuing to take the exam.
continuing?
I also noticed above that where it says may require dismissal from the examination test center. Or I think, involuntary conclusion of a remote examination.
The only problem with that is, I did think of that as well. We did not have live proctoring at the last exam. That's not to say we wouldn't have it for any future exams, but I don't know how we would dismiss them if
Sure.
someone is not
Yeah,
watching.
So
them.
there's the two styles, like the record and review style of a remote exam where you see the applicants after the fact, and then the live proctoring, which in that case, the live proctoring, you could stop the exam.
Right?
So should we say a friendly examination tester, or involuntarily through I don't know. Any suggestions on where? I think you're right. Maybe because if that is a possibility of having live proctoring eventually, should we be able to call that out? And
Right.
I think
We want to have the ability to do it.
Well, maybe something like cessation of the exam, or I guess I'm just trying to think of
How about or immediate termination of a remote examination.
that's good.
Thank you, Natalie. Any other thoughts or questions on that at all? And then another thing I wanted to mention, previously at past exams, we referenced any exam violations, a notice of violation. So I did include that term within the rule changes or the proposal. I don't know if it seems too clunky to always just say reports of the notice of violation, State Bar affirms the notice of violation. Is there another term that we can use, maybe something shorter that could perhaps streamline these rules? Or maybe, I mean, if the CBLS was comfortable with that term, we can continue it as well.
I think it's fine.
Any? I'm not sure if anyone else got to review the proposal at all ahead of time. Did anyone else see anything that we may have missed or can possibly add or change within this proposal? All right, hearing none, I think that concludes my item. So as previously mentioned, we'll take these discussions and notes to finalize proposed rules and policy updates and bring it back in April for action. So thanks,
Great.
everyone.
Well, thank you, and thanks for all the work on that. It looks good.
Mhm.
All right, we're going to end the open session. This concludes our business today in the open session. We're going to go ahead and close out of the open session. We'll be rejoining the closed session to complete a business item there, and then we will come back to formally end the meeting in open session. So if everyone can please log out of the open session, log in to the closed session link that was provided to you, and then we will come back to this link once we conclude the meeting. If anyone would like a 5-minute break, we can take one, but the closed session should be concluded very quickly. We have one item on the agenda. All right, hearing no request for a break, we're going to go ahead and move right into the closed session. So I will see you there. Thanks so much.
Go ahead now.
All right, so the board has completed its closed session. There are no action items to report following the closed session. And we have concluded all of the open and closed session meeting items today. So I'd like to thank everyone in attendance, particularly the State Bar staff who has done a great job getting all of these new rule recommendations together for us. Really appreciate that. And we're going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Adrian, if you could end the recording.